Hello there. Welcome back, or welcome for the very first time. Tonight, if you would like, you can set down whatever you have been carrying today. There is nothing here that needs your attention. Nothing you need to remember. Nothing you need to solve. If sleep finds you before we reach the end, that is a beautiful thing. That is exactly what this is for. Tonight, we are going to spend some quiet time with one of the most gentle things your body knows how to do. We are going to explore the science of laughter, not to make you laugh, but to remind you of something warm, something that has always been there, woven into the way your muscles soften, the way your breath deepens, the way your mind can finally let go. There is an entire field of science dedicated to studying what happens when you smile, and what they have found is quietly beautiful. Your body already knows the language of laughter. It already carries the seeds of inner peace. So let your body settle. Let your thoughts drift, like leaves on a slow river. And whenever you are ready, let us begin. There is an entire field of science dedicated to the study of laughter. It is called gelotology. Gelotology comes from the Greek word gelos, meaning laughter. And for decades, researchers in this quiet corner of science have been studying what happens inside your body when you smile, when you chuckle, when laughter moves through you like a wave you did not plan. What they have found is that laughter is not just an expression of joy. It is a biological event, a cascade of signals that ripple through your muscles, your hormones, your nervous system. Researchers at universities around the world have mapped these pathways, tracing the way a single laugh can shift the chemistry of your entire body. Imagine a field of science as tender as a garden, one that studies not illness or injury, but the simple, ancient act of smiling, a garden where every experiment begins with warmth. And perhaps, as you lie here tonight, there is something comforting in knowing that somewhere, right now, scientists are quietly studying the gentlest thing your body knows how to do. A genuine smile activates two specific muscle groups. The zygomatic major lifts your cheeks. The orbicularis oculi crinkles the corners of your eyes. Paul Ekman, a psychologist at the University of California, San Francisco, spent years mapping the muscles of the human face. He discovered that a real smile, the kind that rises without permission, involves both of these muscles working together. The cheeks lift, the eyes soften. It is a small choreography that your face has been rehearsing since the day you were born. A polite smile uses only the mouth, but a genuine one, the kind that arrives when something quietly delights you, reaches all the way to your eyes. Ekman called these felt smiles because they come from a place deeper than politeness. It is like the difference between a flower that has been arranged in a vase and one that has found its own way through a crack in the pavement. Both are beautiful, but only one grew from something real. And perhaps tonight, if a smile finds its way to your face, you might notice those tiny muscles around your eyes softening. A small, involuntary gift. Your brain can tell the difference between a real smile and a polite one in less than a second. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin found that the human brain processes the authenticity of a smile almost instantly. Before you have time to think about it, a deeper part of your mind has already decided. Genuine or not, it is a skill that evolved over millions of years. when reading the faces of others meant the difference between safety and danger. Today, that ancient instinct still hums quietly in the background. When someone smiles at you and means it, something inside you relaxes. A tension you may not even have noticed begins to dissolve. It is like walking through a forest and suddenly feeling the air change. Warmer, softer. Without knowing exactly why, your body simply recognized something safe. Perhaps your jaw can soften, just a little, releasing whatever it has been holding. There is no rush, just a small permission to let go. Simply moving your face into the shape of a smile can gently shift your emotional state, even before you feel happy. This is known as the facial feedback hypothesis. Researchers at the University of Tennessee, led by Nicholas Coles, conducted experiments showing that when people held their faces in a smile, even without a reason, they began to perceive the world around them as slightly more pleasant. The act of smiling sent a quiet signal back to the brain, as if to say things are okay. It is not about forcing happiness. It is about the gentle conversation between your face and your mind. A loop so subtle that most of us never notice it. Your muscles speak to your brain, and your brain listens. Imagine a flower that opens not because the sun has arrived, but because opening is simply what it does, and the warmth follows. And so, if you find your face softening tonight, even without a reason, perhaps that is your body beginning its own quiet conversation with peace. When you smile, tiny neuropeptides are released that help quiet your stress response. Neuropeptides are small molecules that neurons use to communicate with each other. When you smile, even gently, your brain releases these messengers, and among them are signals that help dial down the activity of your stress circuits. It is as though your face sends a quiet memo to your nervous system: stand down. We are safe. Research supported by the National Institutes of Health has shown that this process happens rapidly and without conscious effort. You do not need to decide to feel less stressed. Your body does it for you, simply because you smiled. It is like sunlight finding its way through a break in the clouds. You did not ask for it, but there it is, warming everything it touches. And tonight, you do not need to do anything about this. It is just a quiet truth, drifting past like a leaf on still water. A laugh begins in the brainstem, one of the most ancient parts of the brain. Before you even decide to laugh, the brainstem sits at the very base of your skull, connecting your brain to your spinal cord. It is responsible for the most fundamental rhythms of life: breathing, heartbeat, sleep. And it is here, in this ancient structure, that laughter first sparks to life. By the time you are aware that something is funny, your brainstem has already begun coordinating the muscles of your face, your diaphragm, your vocal cords. Laughter is older than language, older than thought. It rises from a place that does not need permission or planning. Neuroscientists believe this is because laughter evolved long before the parts of the brain responsible for reason and speech. It is a relic of a time when communication was simpler, when joy was expressed not in words, but in sound, like roots that run deep beneath an old tree, invisible, but holding everything in place. Your capacity for laughter is woven into the oldest architecture of who you are. Babies begin to smile socially at around 6 weeks old, long before they understand a single word. Developmental psychologists have observed that in the early weeks of life, before an infant can grasp language or meaning, a smile appears, not the reflexive smile of sleep, but a social one, directed at a face, a voice, a presence. It is one of the very first bridges a human being builds to the world. This smile is not learned from a book or taught by example. It emerges naturally, like a bud that opens, because the season has arrived. Researchers believe it is hardwired, a biological gift that helps the infant connect, bond, and feel safe in the company of others. Imagine a garden where the first flower blooms before the gardener has even planted a seed. That is what a baby's smile is. Something that was always going to happen, because connection is written into your very design. If you would like, let your shoulders settle. They have carried enough today. There is nowhere they need to hold you right now. Laughter is a coordinated dance of about 15 facial muscles working in gentle harmony. When you laugh, it is not just one muscle contracting. It is a symphony, the zygomatic major lifting your lips, the orbicularis oculi crinkling your eyes, the levator labii pulling upward, and several smaller muscles joining in to shape the expression. Together, they create the unmistakable face of laughter. Anatomists who have studied this coordination describe it as one of the most complex facial expressions humans can produce. And yet, it happens effortlessly. You do not think about which muscles to engage. Your body simply knows. It is like watching a flock of birds turn in the sky. No conductor. No rehearsal, just an ancient knowing that moves through every single one of them at once. And in this moment, perhaps your own face is resting, those 15 muscles quiet, at ease, with nothing to do but simply be still. The tiny crinkles around your eyes during a real smile are called a Duchenne smile, named after a French physician who studied them in 1862. Guillaume Duchenne de Boulogne was a neurologist in 19th century Paris who became fascinated by the muscles of the human face. Using gentle electrical stimulation, he mapped which muscles produced which expressions, and he discovered something beautiful, a genuine smile, one born from real emotion. Always involved the muscles around the eyes. He called this the smile of the soul. It could not be faked. He said, because the orbicularis oculi, the muscle that crinkles the outer corners of your eyes, responds only to genuine feeling. It does not obey the will. It obeys the heart. More than 160 years later, his discovery still holds. When someone smiles at you and their eyes crinkle, your brain knows, without thinking, that the warmth is real. Like the rings inside an old tree, a Duchenne smile tells a quiet story, one of authenticity, written in the softest lines of the human face. Your diaphragm gently contracts when you laugh, creating a soft, natural massage for your internal organs. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that sits just below your lungs. When you breathe, it rises and falls in a quiet rhythm. But when you laugh, that rhythm quickens. The diaphragm pulses, in short, gentle contractions that press softly against your stomach, your liver, your intestines. Physiologists describe this as a kind of internal massage, a rhythmic compression and release that increases blood flow to your organs and helps move things along in your digestive system. It is one of the reasons you sometimes feel a warm, pleasant sensation in your belly after a good laugh. Imagine the way a gentle rain softens the soil in a garden. Not forceful, not dramatic. Just enough to help everything settle and breathe a little more easily. And right now, as you lie here, your diaphragm is moving in its own quiet rhythm, rising, falling, asking nothing of you at all. Laughter increases your breathing rate, sending a little more oxygen to every corner of your body. When you laugh, your respiratory rate briefly rises. You take in more air, and with each breath, more oxygen travels through your bloodstream to your muscles, your organs, your brain. It is a small burst of nourishment, not dramatic, not forced, just a gentle increase in the fuel your body runs on. Researchers publishing in the journal Heart Views in 2023 noted that this temporary increase in oxygen intake contributes to the overall sense of well-being that follows a bout of laughter. Your tissues receive a little extra care, a little extra attention, simply because you laughed. It is like a breeze moving through an open window. You did not call for it, but it refreshes everything it touches. Maybe the space between your eyebrows can ease, like a crease smoothing out of soft fabric. There is nothing to figure out right now. Just breath and quiet. After a good laugh, your muscles can stay relaxed for up to 45 minutes. This is one of the most remarkable findings in laughter research. A review published in Heart Views in 2023 confirmed that following a hearty laugh, the muscles throughout your entire body can enter a state of deep relaxation and remain there for as long as 45 minutes. It is as though laughter flips a switch somewhere deep inside, telling your muscles that the work is done. The tension is no longer needed. Shoulders drop, jaw softens, the hands unclench, and for nearly an hour, your body simply rests. Imagine a garden after a long, gentle rain, every leaf heavier, every stem bowed slightly, everything glistening and still. That is what your body feels like after laughter has passed through it. And perhaps, even without laughter, your body is already remembering what that stillness feels like. Settling into it now, one muscle at a time. Your vocal cords vibrate in a pattern unique to you when you laugh. No two laughs in the world are quite the same. Acoustics researchers have analyzed the sound of laughter and found that, much like a fingerprint, each person's laugh carries a distinct acoustic signature: the pitch, the rhythm, the timbre, all of it shaped by the unique structure of your vocal cords, your throat, your chest cavity. Some laughs are high and breathy, others are deep and rolling. Some come in short bursts, like pebbles skipping across water. Others pour out in long, unbroken streams, but each one is yours. A sound that no one else in the history of the world has ever made in quite the same way. It is like the way each tree in a forest catches the wind differently. The same breeze, but 1,000 unique songs. And tonight, your voice rests. No sound needed, just the quiet knowledge that somewhere inside you, a laugh unlike any other is waiting. Patient and unhurried. Laughter briefly raises your heart rate, then settles it to a calmer baseline than before, like a bird that lifts before landing softly. Cardiologists have observed that during laughter, your heart rate increases for a few moments, a gentle acceleration driven by the physical effort of laughing. But afterward, something interesting happens. Your heart rate drops below where it started. It settles into a quieter rhythm, as though the laughter gave your cardiovascular system a small reset. This pattern, a brief rise, followed by a deeper calm, is similar to what happens during gentle physical exercise. Your heart works a little harder for a moment, then rewards you with a deeper state of rest. It is like a bird that lifts from a branch, circles once in the warm air, and then returns to settle more deeply than before, tucked in, quiet, at ease. And perhaps your own heart is settling now, not because of laughter, but simply because this moment is asking nothing of it. The average adult laughs about 17 times a day, though many of us have lost count. Robert Provin, a neuroscientist at the University of Maryland, spent years studying the patterns of everyday laughter. He found that most laughter does not come from jokes or comedy. It emerges in ordinary conversation, in small moments of connection, in the spaces between words. 17 times. That is roughly once every waking hour. And yet, most of us would guess far fewer, because laughter is so woven into the fabric of daily life that we barely notice it happening. It is like the way sunlight moves across a room throughout the day. Always there, always shifting, but so gradual that you only notice it when you pause to look. Your hands might feel warm and heavy now, resting wherever they have found their place. Perhaps you can let them be still. No reaching, no holding, just the quiet weight of rest. When you smile at someone, mirror neurons in their brain fire, and they often smile back without choosing to. Giacomo Rizzolatti, a neuroscientist at the University of Parma in Italy, discovered mirror neurons in the 1990s. These are brain cells that activate not only when you perform an action, but when you observe someone else performing it. When you see someone smile, the neurons in your own brain that control smiling begin to fire, preparing your face to mirror what it sees. This is why smiles are contagious. It is not a choice. It is a reflex, something ancient and involuntary, built into the wiring of your social brain. Your mirror neurons see warmth, and they respond with warmth. It is like the way one candle can light another without losing any of its own flame. Warmth passing quietly from one to the next, multiplying without effort. And tonight, you do not need to smile for anyone, but if one arrives on its own, perhaps you can simply let it be. Your body cannot hold muscular tension and genuine laughter at the same time. They simply cannot coexist. Physiologists have noted that the physical act of laughing is fundamentally incompatible with sustained muscle tension. When laughter begins, the muscles that were bracing in your shoulders, your jaw, your abdomen, are recruited for a different purpose. They contract and release in the rhythm of laughter, and in doing so, they let go of whatever tension they were holding. It is one of the reasons laughter feels so physically relieving. It is not just emotional release, it is muscular release. Your body literally cannot laugh and clench at the same time. Imagine trying to hold a fist while letting go at the same time. One must give way to the other, and laughter always wins. like a knot in a piece of cloth that loosens when the fabric is gently shaken. Laughter moves through your body, and tension simply falls away. Laughter causes your blood vessels to gently widen, increasing blood flow by about 22%. Researchers at the University of Maryland Medical Center found that after watching a funny film, the blood vessels of participants dilated significantly, allowing blood to flow more freely. The increase was approximately 22%, which is comparable to the effect of light aerobic exercise. This dilation is driven by the endothelium, the thin lining inside your blood vessels, which responds to the chemical signals released during laughter. When you laugh, your blood vessels relax and expand, like a river, widening as it reaches a calm stretch of open land. The effect is gentle but measurable. More blood reaches your tissues. More warmth spreads through your limbs. More oxygen arrives where it is needed, like ripples spreading across a still lake. Quiet, widening, touching everything they reach. Laughter opens the pathways inside you, one vessel at a time. The physical act of laughing uses muscles across your face, chest, and abdomen. Sometimes your whole body joins in. Anatomists describe laughter as one of the most physically engaging expressions the human body can produce. It begins in the face, moves to the diaphragm and chest, and in the case of deep, arty laughter, can involve the abdomen, the back, and even the legs. There are documented cases of people laughing so fully that they could not stand. This is because laughter, at its core, is a full-body experience. It is not confined to the face or the voice. It is a wave that moves through you, a temporary release of tension that your entire body participates in. Imagine the way the wind moves through a field of tall grass. Not just the tips, but the stalks, the roots, everything swaying together in one gentle motion. Perhaps your feet are sinking into stillness now, grounded, quiet, safe. They have nowhere to go tonight. A single hearty laugh burns roughly 1.5 calories. A tiny gift your body gives itself. Researchers at Vanderbilt University measured the metabolic cost of laughter and found that each genuine laugh burns approximately 1.5 calories. It is not much, not enough to replace a walk or a swim, but it is something, a small expenditure of energy that your body makes willingly, joyfully, without being asked. Over the course of a day filled with laughter, those tiny calories add up to a quiet act of self-care. Your body moving, breathing, engaging with life in the simplest way it knows. It is like sunlight warming a single stone by the side of a path. Not much, perhaps, but the stone notices. And tonight, your body does not need to burn anything. It can simply rest. Varm, tis still, and perfectly at ease. Laughter is controlled by a different brain circuit than speech, which is why you can laugh even when words fail you. Neuroscientists have identified that the brain pathways responsible for laughter are distinct from those that govern speech. Language is processed primarily in the left hemisphere, in areas like Broca's and Wernicke's regions, but laughter is coordinated by structures deeper in the brain, including the brainstem and the limbic system. This is why people who have lost the ability to speak, through stroke or injury, can often still laugh. The circuits are separate, Laughter does not need words. It does not need permission from the parts of the brain that plan and organize language. It is older than words, deeper than syntax. It comes from a place that existed long before the first sentence was ever spoken, like a river that flows beneath a city, unseen, unheard, but always there. Your capacity for laughter runs through channels that language has never touched. When you smile, the temperature of blood flowing to your brain changes ever so slightly, enough to influence how you feel. Robert Zayons, a psychologist at Stanford University, proposed that facial expressions can alter the temperature of blood entering the brain through the cavernous sinus, a network of veins near the base of the skull. When you smile, the configuration of your facial muscles subtly changes the airflow in your nasal passages, which in turn affects the temperature of the blood reaching your brain. This tiny shift, measured in fractions of a degree, is enough to influence neurotransmitter activity. Cooler blood reaching certain brain regions is associated with more positive mood states. It is like the way a gentle breeze through an open window can change the entire atmosphere of a room. Not dramatically, not forcefully, just enough to make everything feel a little more comfortable. And perhaps your mind is cooling now, in its own way, settling, softening, releasing the warmth of the day. After laughing, the muscles in your throat relax, which is why your voice often sounds softer and warmer. Ear, nose, and throat specialists have noted that laughter involves the rapid contraction and release of the muscles surrounding the larynx and vocal cords. After this activity subsides, those muscles enter a state of relaxation, looser, softer, more at ease than before the laughter began. This is why, after a good laugh, your voice often drops slightly in pitch and takes on a warmer quality. The tension that normally holds your vocal cords taut has been temporarily released, allowing them to vibrate more freely. It is like a guitar string that has been gently loosened. The sound that comes from it is deeper, rounder, more resonant. Notice how your chest rises and falls, a rhythm that has been with you since your very first breath. It asks nothing of you. It simply continues, steady and faithful, carrying you through the night. Your jaw is one of the first places in your body to gather tension, and one of the first places that laughter gently releases. Physical therapists and dentists alike have long recognized that the muscles of the jaw, particularly the masseter and the temporalis, are among the most common sites of chronic tension in the human body. Stress, concentration, and even sleep can cause these muscles to clench without your awareness. But during laughter, the jaw opens wide. The muscles that were clenching are suddenly asked to do something different, to stretch, to move, to participate in something joyful. And in that movement, the tension that had quietly accumulated begins to dissolve. It is like opening a window in a room that has been closed all day. The air shifts, the staleness clears, and everything feels lighter. And your jaw, right now, can be as soft as it wants to be. There is nothing it needs to hold together tonight. Nothing it needs to protect. The vibration of laughter travels through your chest like a quiet hum, a resonance your body recognizes as safe. Bioacoustics researchers have studied the vibratory patterns produced during laughter and found that the oscillations travel not just through the air, but through the tissues of the chest and torso. These vibrations are low frequency and rhythmic, similar in character to the vibrations produced by purring in cats, which have been shown to promote healing and relaxation. Your body, it seems, and responds to the physical vibration of laughter, the way it responds to being gently rocked, with calm, with surrender, with a quiet recognition that the world is, for this moment, safe. Imagine the deep, steady hum of a cello in an empty concert hall. Not loud, not urgent, just a resonance that fills the space and asks for nothing in return. And so the first 25 quiet truths have drifted past you. Perhaps some have stayed. Perhaps some have already dissolved into the stillness. Either way, your body carries them now, gently, softly, without effort. And whenever you are ready, the journey continues. When you laugh, your body releases endorphins, its own gentle, natural painkillers. Endorphins are small proteins produced by the pituitary gland and the central nervous system. Their name comes from endogenous morphine, meaning morphine that your body makes on its own. When laughter moves through you, these molecules are released into your bloodstream, binding to receptors throughout your body and producing a quiet wave of comfort. A review published in Heart Views in 2023 confirmed that laughter reliably triggers endorphin release, contributing to feelings of well-being and even temporary pain relief. It is one of the most consistent findings in laughter science. Your body rewards you simply for laughing. Imagine a warm current moving through deep water, invisible from the surface, but felt in every layer below. That is what endorphins do. They move through you quietly, softening everything they touch. And tonight, you do not need to laugh to feel this warmth. Perhaps just knowing it exists is enough. A quiet reminder that your body already carries its own gentle medicine. A single session of laughter can lower your cortisol, the main stress hormone, by up to 37%. Cortisol is the hormone your body produces when it senses danger or stress. It raises your heart rate, sharpens your focus, and prepares your muscles to act. It is useful in moments of real threat, but when it stays elevated, as it often does in modern life, it can leave you feeling wired, restless, unable to settle. A systematic review and meta-analysis published by Karen and colleagues in 2023 found that spontaneous laughter significantly reduces cortisol levels. In some studies, the reduction was as high as 37%, a meaningful drop, achieved without medication, without effort, without planning. It is as though your body quietly lowers its guard, like a sentinel who has been standing watch all day, finally allowed to sit down and rest. Your belly might soften with each exhale, like a wave retreating from the shore. There is nothing to brace against tonight, just breath and stillness. The endorphins released during laughter bind to the same receptors as morphine, but with no side effects at all. Neuropharmacologists have identified that endorphins interact with the mu-opioid receptors in the brain, the same receptors targeted by morphine and other opioid medications. When endorphins bind to these receptors, they produce a sense of warmth, comfort, and mild euphoria. But unlike pharmaceutical opioids, endorphins carry no risk of dependence, no side effects, no withdrawal. They are your body's own creation, perfectly calibrated, perfectly safe, perfectly gentle. Researchers describe this system as one of the most elegant in human biology. Your body manufactures its own comfort, delivers it precisely where it is needed, and asks for nothing in return. Like rain that falls on a quiet pond, each drop dissolving into the surface without a trace. Yet, changing the whole body of water, endorphins move through you softly, leaving only calm in their wake. Laughter quietly lowers epinephrine, the hormone that keeps your body on high alert. Epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, is the chemical your body releases during moments of stress or perceived danger. It raises your heart rate, tightens your muscles, and sharpens your senses. It is the engine behind the fight or flight response, a system designed to keep you alive in emergencies. But in the modern world, epinephrine often stays elevated long after the emergency has passed. Your body remains on alert, even when there is nothing to fight and nowhere to flee. A review by Chaudhary and colleagues in 2021 found that laughter therapy significantly reduces circulating epinephrine. The hormone that kept you on edge quietly steps back, allowing your nervous system to shift toward rest. It is like a river that has been flowing fast through a narrow channel, finally reaching open land. The current slows, the water spreads, and everything becomes still. Your immune system responds to laughter by gently increasing the activity of your natural killer cells, your body's quiet guardians. Natural killer cells, often called NK cells, are a type of white blood cell that patrols your body, seeking out cells that have been infected by viruses or have become abnormal. They are part of your innate immune system, the defense you were born with. Bennett and Lengacker, in a review published in 2009, documented that laughter increases NK cell activity. These quiet guardians become more vigilant, more active, more capable of protecting you, simply because you laughed. It is remarkable. When you think about it, a sound that begins in your chest can reach all the way to the cells that watch over your health. Like gentle waves returning to shore, each one carrying a little more warmth than the last. Laughter sends quiet signals to the deepest parts of your body, reminding them that all is well. Laughter raises levels of immunoglobulin A, the soft shield that protects your respiratory tract. Immunoglobulin A, or IgA, is an antibody found in the mucous membranes of your nose, in throat, and lungs. It is one of your body's first lines of defense against airborne pathogens, a quiet barrier that works continuously, without your awareness. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology have shown that positive emotional states, including laughter, are associated with increased levels of IgA in saliva. When you laugh, this protective antibody rises, as though your body is reinforcing its defenses from the inside. Imagine a soft shield that grows stronger, not through force, but through joy. That is what IgA does when laughter moves through you. Your jaw, that faithful guardian, perhaps it can release a little more now. It has been working quietly all day, holding, protecting. Tonight, it can simply rest. When you laugh, serotonin levels shift. The same gentle neurotransmitter that helps you sleep. Serotonin is one of the brain's most versatile chemical messengers. It plays a role in mood regulation, appetite, and, perhaps most relevant tonight, sleep. Serotonin is a precursor to melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it is time to rest. Chaudhary and colleagues noted in their 2021 review that laughter influences serotonin activity, contributing to the overall mood-enhancing and anxiety-reducing effects of humor. When serotonin flows more freely, the path to sleep becomes a little smoother. It is like a river that feeds a quiet lake. When the river runs well, the lake fills gently, and everything around it settles into stillness. And perhaps tonight, without even knowing it, the quiet chemistry inside you is already preparing the way, softening the edges, smoothing the path toward rest. Laughter activates the mesolimbic dopamine pathway, the same reward system that responds to music and chocolate. Deep in the center of your brain lies a network of neurons known as the mesolimbic dopamine pathway. This is your brain's reward circuit, the system that lights up when you experience something pleasurable. It is the same pathway activated by a beautiful piece of music, a warm meal, or the taste of chocolate. Chaudhary and colleagues documented that laughter engages this same pathway, triggering a release of dopamine that creates a gentle sense of satisfaction and pleasure. Your brain, it seems, treats laughter as a reward, something worth seeking, worth repeating. Imagine soft candlelight in a quiet room, the kind that makes everything look warmer, kinder, more at peace. That is what dopamine does to your inner landscape when laughter passes through. And tonight, your brain does not need a reason to feel at ease. The quiet hum of this moment is reward enough. 10 to 15 minutes of laughter each day can quietly burn between 10 and 40 extra calories. Researchers publishing in HeartViews noted that the physical effort involved in laughing, the contracting muscles, the increased breathing rate, the elevated heart rate, adds up to a small but real metabolic cost. Over the course of a day, those tiny expenditures accumulate. It is not exercise in the traditional sense, but it is movement, genuine, involuntary, joyful movement that your body performs without being asked. A small act of aliveness that happens naturally, woven into the fabric of your day, like a stream that carves its way through soft rock over time. Not through force, but through gentle, patient repetition. Laughter shapes your body in ways so small they are almost invisible, but they are there. And tonight, your body does not need to move at all. It can simply lie here, still and warm, doing nothing but breathing. Laughter helps your blood vessels expand and contract more smoothly, like a river finding its easiest path. Researchers at the University of Maryland Medical Center studied the effect of laughter on vascular function and found that the endothelium, the delicate lining of your blood vessels, responds positively to humor. After laughing, the endothelium relaxes, allowing vessels to dilate more easily and blood to flow with less resistance. This improved vascular function is similar to what occurs during moderate exercise. Your blood vessels become more flexible, more responsive, more capable of delivering nutrients and oxygen to your tissues. Imagine a river that has been flowing through tight, rocky channels suddenly reaching a wide, sandy bed. The current slows, the water spreads, everything moves with less effort. If your shoulders have crept up again, you might gently let them drop. No rush, no force, just a quiet permission to soften. Your heart benefits from laughter in a way that resembles gentle aerobic exercise. Without ever leaving the couch, cardiologists have drawn a fascinating parallel between laughter and light exercise. When you laugh, your heart rate temporarily increases, your blood pressure rises slightly, and your cardiac output goes up, all of which are hallmarks of aerobic activity. And when the laughter subsides, your heart settles into a calmer rhythm, much like the cool-down after a walk. A review in Heart Views in 2023 described laughter as a form of internal jogging, a workout for the cardiovascular system that requires no equipment, no planning, and no physical effort beyond the act of laughing itself. It is like a gentle tide that rises and falls in a quiet harbor. The boats lift, the water swirls softly, and then everything settles back down, calmer than before. And your heart, right now, is doing exactly what it does best, beating steadily, faithfully, carrying you through the night. After laughing, the level of stress hormones circulating through your bloodstream quietly drops. Multiple studies have confirmed that laughter reduces not just cortisol, but a range of stress-related hormones, including epinephrine, norepinephrine, and DOPAC, a metabolite of dopamine associated with stress. The effect is broad, and consistent laughter tells your endocrine system that the danger has passed. What makes this particularly remarkable is how little effort it takes. You do not need to meditate for an hour or run 5 miles. A few minutes of genuine laughter can measurably shift your hormonal profile toward calm, like morning mist lifting off a calm harbor. Quiet, gradual, inévitable. The stress hormones in your body gently recede after laughter, leaving behind a clearer, quieter inner landscape. And perhaps, even now, something inside you is quietly clearing. Not because you are doing anything, but because rest, like mist, knows when to lift. A protein called gamma interferon, one of your body's disease-fighting helpers, gently increases after laughter. Gamma interferon is a cytokine, a signaling molecule that plays a key role in activating your immune response. It helps coordinate the activity of immune cells, ensuring they are ready to respond to infection or illness. Bennett and Lengacher documented that exposure to humor and laughter can increase circulating levels of gamma interferon. This means that laughter does not just make you feel better, it actually strengthens the molecular machinery your body uses to protect itself. It is a quiet kind of strength, not the strength of armor or walls, but the strength of a garden that grows healthier because the soil is tended with care, like water smoothing a stone over centuries, invisible in any single moment, but transformative over time. Laughter gently reinforces the foundations of your health. Laughter stimulates the vagus nerve, a long, wandering nerve that helps calm your entire nervous system. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body. It begins in the brainstem and wanders. Vagus means wanderer in Latin. Through your throat, your chest, your heart, your lungs, and your digestive system. It is the main highway of your parasympathetic nervous system. the system responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. When you laugh, the physical vibrations in your chest and abdomen gently stimulate the vagus nerve, activating the parasympathetic response. Your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, your digestion eases, your body shifts from alertness to calm. Imagine a long, quiet road that connects a busy city to a peaceful countryside. Laughter is the traveler that walks this road, carrying the message, it is safe to rest now. The muscles across your forehead might ease now, like clouds parting quietly after a long day. There is nothing to solve, nothing to plan, just this moment. Your body releases fewer stress hormones after laughing than it does after simply sitting quietly. This is one of the more surprising findings from the research of Coren and colleagues. In their 2023 meta-analysis, they found that participants who engaged in spontaneous laughter had significantly lower cortisol levels than those who simply rested without laughing. In other words, laughter is more relaxing than doing nothing. It suggests that laughter actively reverses the stress response. It does not merely prevent stress from rising, but actually pulls it down from wherever it has settled, like a gentle rain that does not just stop the dust from rising, but washes it away entirely. Laughter cleanses your biochemistry in a way that stillness alone cannot. And yet, tonight, stillness is more than enough. Your body has its own wisdom about what it needs. And right now, it is simply here, quiet, unhurried, at rest. When you laugh, your heart briefly pumps more blood with each beat. A small surge of warmth through your whole body. Cardiologists call this an increase in stroke volume. The amount of blood your heart pushes out with each contraction. During laughter, as your heart rate rises and your muscles engage, your heart responds by pumping a little harder, sending a gentle wave of oxygenated blood to every part of your body. It is a brief, involuntary act of generosity from your cardiovascular system. A moment when your heart gives a little more, simply because you laughed. Imagine a wave that rises from deep water and spreads warmth across a quiet beach. That is what happens inside you when laughter passes through. A surge of warmth that reaches every corner, then gently recedes. And your heart, right now, continues its faithful work. Steady, quiet, asking nothing in return. Watching something funny increases the production of T cells, tiny defenders that patrol your immune system. Lee Burke and colleagues at Loma Linda University conducted a series of studies in which participants watched humorous videos while their immune markers were monitored. They found that exposure to humor was associated with an increase in T cell activity. These are white blood cells that play a central role in your adaptive immune response. T cells are like quiet sentinels that learn the identity of specific threats and remember them for the future. When laughter increases their production, your body becomes a little better prepared, a little more resilient, like rain falling on a garden that has been waiting, each drop feeding the roots, strengthening the stems, preparing the flowers to bloom. Laughter nourishes the hidden defenders that keep you well. And tonight, those quiet defenders are already at work inside you, watching, protecting, asking nothing but rest. People who laugh regularly tend to have lower blood pressure over time. Longitudinal studies on hypertension have observed a correlation between frequent laughter and lower resting blood pressure, while a single laugh produces a temporary increase in blood pressure, part of the cardiovascular response to physical effort. The long-term pattern tells a different story. People who laugh often tend to have healthier baseline blood pressure readings. Researchers believe this is because regular laughter improves vascular flexibility and reduces chronic stress hormone levels, both of which contribute to healthier blood pressure over time. It is like a path worn smooth by many gentle footsteps, each one insignificant on its own, but together they create a way that is easy to walk. Perhaps your fingers can uncurl, just slightly, letting go of whatever they were holding. There is nothing to grasp tonight, just the soft weight of your own hands. Resting. The neurochemical cascade that laughter sets in motion lasts far longer than the laugh itself, like ripples on a still lake. Neuroscientists have observed that the chemical changes triggered by laughter, the rise in endorphins, the drop in cortisol, the shift in serotonin, persist well beyond the moment of laughter. The laugh may last only seconds, but its biochemical signature can be measured for minutes, sometimes longer. It is one of the reasons laughter has such a lasting effect on mood. The sound fades, the smile softens, but the chemistry continues, working quietly inside you, extending the calm. Imagine a stone dropped into a still lake. The splash is brief, but the ripples spread outward in widening circles, touching the banks long after the stone has settled. That is what laughter does to your body. A moment of joy that echoes through your chemistry, long after the sound has faded. Laughter increases your pain tolerance. Studies show people can bear more discomfort after a good laugh. Robin Dunbar, an evolutionary psychologist at the University of Oxford, conducted experiments in 2011 in which participants were exposed to either comedy or neutral content, then tested for pain tolerance. Those who had been laughing could endure significantly more discomfort than those who had not. Dunbar attributed this to the endorphin release triggered by laughter. Endorphins raise the pain threshold, creating a buffer between you and physical discomfort, a natural shield that your body builds from nothing but joy. It is like a warm blanket wrapped around you on a cold night. It does not remove the cold, but it changes your relationship to it. The cold is still there, but you are held. And tonight, whatever discomfort you may be carrying, physical or otherwise, perhaps it can soften just a little in the warmth of this quiet hour. When you laugh often, your body's markers of inflammation gently decrease. Chronic inflammation is one of the body's most silent challenges, a low-grade, persistent immune response that can contribute to a range of health concerns over time. It often goes unnoticed, running quietly in the background. Research in psychoneuroimmunology has found that positive emotional states, including humor and laughter, are associated with lower levels of inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein and interleukin-6. Regular laughter, it seems, helps keep inflammation in check. It is like a gentle wind that keeps a fire from growing, not by force, but by steady, quiet presence. The flame does not disappear, but it never gets out of hand. And your body, right now, is already doing its quiet work, maintaining, repairing, restoring, all without your attention or effort. Growth hormone, which rises during stress, drops noticeably after laughter. Growth hormone is typically associated with development and repair, but it also rises during periods of acute stress. As part of the body's complex hormonal response, elevated growth hormone levels can contribute to the physical symptoms of stress: muscle tension, restlessness, difficulty sleeping. Lee Burke and colleagues at Loma Linda University found that after exposure to humor, growth hormone levels dropped significantly. It was another piece of the puzzle, another way in which laughter systematically dismantles the stress response, one hormone at a time, like a river that slowly unwinds a knot of driftwood, not all at once, but gently, persistently, until the current flows freely again. Your feet might feel heavier now, warm, still, perfectly at rest. They have carried you through an entire day. Tonight, they can simply be. Laughter can help regulate blood sugar, particularly after a meal, when the body is working to find balance. In a study conducted by Hayashi and colleagues in Japan in 2003, participants with type 2 diabetes were given a meal and then either attended a monotonous lecture or watched a comedy show. Those who laughed after eating had significantly lower blood sugar levels than those who sat through the lecture. Researchers believe this may be related to the muscular activity involved in laughing, which increases glucose uptake by the muscles, as well as the neuroendocrine effects of positive emotion on insulin regulation. It is like a gentle breeze that helps a lake find its level, not forcing the water to move, but allowing it to settle naturally into balance. And your body, right now, is finding its own balance, quietly, patiently, in its own time. The chemistry of laughter is so sensitive that even anticipating something funny begins to lower your stress hormones. Lee Burke at Loma Linda University demonstrated in 2008 that simply telling participants they would be watching a funny video before they had seen even a single frame was enough to reduce cortisol by 39% and epinephrine by 70%. The body began to relax in anticipation of joy. This suggests that laughter's healing properties begin not with the laugh itself, but with the expectation of it. Your brain, it seems, starts preparing for calm the moment it senses that something gentle is on the way. Imagine the hush just before sunrise. The sky is still dark, but the light is already on its way, and everything knows it. The birds stir, the air softens, the world begins to ease, even before the first ray arrives. And perhaps something similar is happening inside you right now. A quiet anticipation of rest, already beginning to change your chemistry. Your body treats a good laugh like a quiet reset. Cortisol settles, endorphins rise, and muscles grow soft. If you were to take a snapshot of your body's chemistry after a good laugh, you would see a remarkably consistent pattern. Cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. Endorphins, your natural painkillers, rise. Epinephrine, the hormone of alertness, restorative. Serotonin shifts, muscles relax, blood vessels widen, the immune system strengthens. It is not one change. It is a cascade, a coordinated reset that touches nearly every system in your body. And it all begins with something as simple as a smile, a chuckle, a moment of lightness. Imagine a lake after a storm has passed. The surface stills, the water clears, the sky reflects perfectly in the calm below. That is what your body looks like after laughter. Settled, clear, at peace. And so the second 25 truths have quietly drifted through. Your body has been listening. Even if your mind has begun to wander, the chemistry of calm is already at work. Ripples on still water, widening gently, touching everything they reach. Whenever you are ready, the journey continues. Laughter existed long before human language. Your ancestors were laughing millions of years before they found words. Evolutionary biologists estimate that laughter emerged in our primate ancestors between 10 and 16 million years ago. It predates spoken language by millions of years. Long before the first word was uttered, long before the first story was told, laughter was already there, a sound that needed no translation. It began as a signal during play, a way to say, without words, this is safe, this is fun, I mean no harm. And over the millennia, it evolved into one of the most complex social signals in the animal kingdom. Imagine constellations drifting in slow arcs across the sky. Ancient, unhurried, tracing paths that were set in motion long before anyone looked up to name them. That is how old your laughter is. It was there before language, before culture, before civilization. It is one of the oldest things you carry. Your chest continues its gentle rise and fall, a tide that never tires. Perhaps you can simply notice it for a moment. Steady and faithful. Great apes laugh during play, a breathy, panting sound that echoes the rhythm of human laughter. Marina Davila Ross, at the University of Portsmouth, recorded and analyzed the vocalizations of orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, and bonobos during tickling and play. What she found was a breathy, rhythmic panting that bore a remarkable acoustic resemblance to human laughter. Not identical, but clearly from the same evolutionary family. This play vocalization serves the same function in apes as it does in humans. It signals that the rough and tumble is not aggression. It is an invitation to keep playing, to stay connected, to trust. It is like starlight that has traveled millions of years to reach you. Faint, ancien, but unmistakably real. The laughter of our closest relatives is a distant echo of the same joy that moves through you tonight. And in this echo, perhaps there is comfort. You are part of something much older and much larger than this single night. Social laughter triggers the release of endogenous opioids, your brain's own gentle reward for connecting. Lori Manninen and colleagues at the University of Turku in Finland used positron emission tomography, PET scanning, to observe what happens in the brain during social laughter. They found that watching comedy with friends triggered a significant release of endogenous opioids, the brain's natural feel-good chemicals. These opioids bind to receptors in areas associated with pleasure, reward, and emotional regulation. The brain, it seems, treats social laughter as a deeply rewarding experience, one worth repeating, one worth seeking out. Imagine the soft glow of the moon through thin clouds, not bright enough to light a path, but warm enough to make the darkness feel safe. That is what opioids do when laughter releases them. They do not solve anything. They simply make the moment feel gentler. And tonight, you are held by a gentleness that asks nothing of you. PET scans reveal that after 30 minutes of social laughter, opioids bloom in the thalamus and anterior insula. The Mannanen study mapped the specific brain regions where opioid release was most pronounced after social laughter. The thalamus, a relay station for sensory information, and the anterior insula, a region involved in emotional awareness and empathy, showed the strongest responses. This means that laughter does not just create pleasure in a general sense. It activates the very brain regions responsible for how you experience connection, warmth, and emotional closeness with others. It is like an aurora fading gently into the horizon, colors blooming in places you did not expect, quiet and unhurried, painting the sky from the inside. And somewhere inside your own brain, those same regions are quietly at rest tonight, not seeking connection, but carrying the memory of it, like warmth stored in the walls of an old house. You are 30 times more likely to laugh when you are with someone else than when you are alone. Laughter is a social gift. Robert Provin, the neuroscientist who spent years studying laughter in everyday life, I found that people laugh roughly 30 times more often in social settings than in solitude. Laughter, it turns out, is not primarily about humor. It is about connection. Most of the laughs Provine recorded did not follow jokes. They emerged in the pauses of ordinary conversation. Small, shared moments of recognition that said, without words, I see you, I hear you, we are in this together. Imagine the quiet space between stars, vast, dark, and seemingly empty. But look closer, and you find that the space is filled with light too faint to see with the naked eye. That is where most laughter lives, not in the spotlight of comedy, but in the gentle glow of human presence. Perhaps your belly is soft now, each breath a little deeper, a little slower. There is nowhere to be but here. In primates, grooming keeps social bonds strong. In humans, laughter quietly took over that ancient role. Robin Dunbar at the University of Oxford proposed a theory that as human social groups grew larger than those of other primates, grooming became impractical as a bonding mechanism. You simply cannot groom 150 friends. So evolution found a more efficient solution: laughter. Laughter releases the same endogenous opioids that grooming does, but it can be shared with many people at once. It is a way of bonding that scales, a social glue that works in pairs, in groups, in entire communities. It is like twilight settling over a landscape, not dark, not light, just soft, a transition from one way of being to another, so gradual that you barely notice it happening. That is how laughter replaced grooming, quietly, over millions of years, one shared moment at a time. Laughter is contagious. Hearing someone laugh activates the part of your brain that prepares your own face to join in. Researchers at University College London found in 2006 that the sound of laughter activates the premotor cortex, the region of the brain responsible for preparing facial movements. When you hear someone laugh, your brain begins coordinating the muscles of your own face, even before you have decided to smile. It is an involuntary response, a reflex that has been shaped by millions of years of social living. Your brain hears laughter and interprets it as an invitation. Join in. Be part of this. You are welcome here. Like the way the first light of a comet trailing across the sky draws every eye upward, laughter draws the human face toward joy. Quietly, automatically, without asking. And tonight, there is no need to join in anything. Just the quiet company of these words, drifting past like distant starlight. Couples who laugh together tend to report higher satisfaction in their relationship. Laughter is a quiet form of trust. Laura Gertz and Sarah Algu, researchers in social psychology, found in 2015 that couples who shared spontaneous laughter during conversations reported higher relationship quality. The laughter was not about comedy. It was about attunement, about being on the same wavelength. Shared laughter signals that two people see the world in a similar way, at least for a moment. It is a form of emotional synchrony, a quiet declaration of trust that says, "I feel safe with you." It is like two stars that orbit each other in the quiet, dark, not touching, but bound by a force that is invisible and gentle and older than either of them. And connection, like starlight, does not fade just because the night is quiet. It simply waits, patient and warm, until it is needed again. When two people laugh together, their brain activity briefly synchronizes, a gentle form of neural coupling. Social neuroscientists have used brain imaging to show that during shared laughter, the neural activity of two people begins to align. Their brains, for a brief moment, fire in similar patterns, a phenomenon known as neural coupling. This synchronization is thought to underlie the feeling of closeness that shared laughter creates. When your brain is in sync with another's, the boundary between self and other softens. You feel less alone, more understood, more at ease. Imagine two instruments playing the same note in a quiet room, each one distinct, but together, creating a harmony that neither could produce alone. If your jaw has tightened again, you can let it soften, like ice melting slowly in the warmth of the sun. There is no hurry, just a gentle invitation to release. The oldest known written joke is more than 4,000 years old, from ancient Sumeria, proving that humor is as old as civilization. Archaeologists discovered it inscribed on a clay tablet, dated to approximately 1900 BCE. The joke is a riddle about a bride and flatulence, not sophisticated by modern standards, but remarkable in what it tells us that the impulse to make others laugh is as ancient as the impulse to build cities, plant crops, and write. 4,000 years ago, someone carved a joke into clay and fired it so it would last. And it did. It outlasted empires, languages, entire civilizations. Humor, it seems, is one of the most durable things humans have ever created. Like a constellation that has held its shape for millennia, Orion still raising his arm, the Pleiades still clustered together. Humor endures. It changes form, but never disappears. And tonight, you are connected to every person who has ever laughed. A lineage that stretches back to the very beginning of what it means to be human. Rats produce tiny ultrasonic chirps when tickled. perhaps one of the earliest forms of laughter in the animal kingdom. Jaak Panksepp, a neuroscientist who pioneered the study of animal emotions, discovered in 2005 that rats emit high-frequency chirps, inaudible to the human ear. When they are tickled, these chirps are associated with play and positive affect, and they bear a functional resemblance to laughter. Panksepp found that rats would seek out the hand of the researcher who tickled them, choosing it over other stimuli. They wanted to be tickled again. They wanted to chirp. They wanted, it seems, to laugh. It is a quietly astonishing thought that somewhere in the brain of a creature so small, the seeds of laughter were already planted, millions of years before humans walked the earth. Like the quiet space between stars, vast, dark, but filled with possibility. The origins of laughter reach further back than we ever imagined. Laughter signals safety. It tells everyone nearby that the world, in this moment, is not threatening. Matthew Gervais and David Sloan Wilson proposed in 2005 that laughter evolved primarily as a safety signal. In a world full of potential threats, laughter communicates one thing. Clearly, everything is okay. No danger here. You can relax. This is why laughter often follows moments of surprise or mild tension. It is the body's way of saying, that was not a threat after all. And when others hear that signal, they relax too. Laughter spreads safety, the way light spreads warmth. Imagine a clearing in a dense forest, a place where the canopy opens, sunlight pours in, and everything breathes a little easier. That is what laughter does to a room, to a conversation, to a moment. And right now, this moment is safe. There is nothing to guard against, only quiet and rest. Shared laughter can build trust between strangers in as little as 5 quiet minutes. Social psychologists have demonstrated that when strangers are placed in situations that encourage shared laughter, their levels of trust and willingness to cooperate increase significantly, often within just a few minutes. Laughter, it seems, accelerates the process of trust building that might otherwise take hours or days. It bypasses the rational, cautious parts of the brain and speaks directly to the emotional centers, the parts that decide, intuitively, whether someone is safe. Like a bridge that appears across a river you did not expect to cross. Laughter connects people quickly, quietly, and without the need for explanation. Your shoulders might sink a little deeper now, like a leaf settling gently onto the surface of still water. They do not need to hold anything up tonight. The warmth you feel from social laughter is chemically similar to the comfort of a gentle touch. Mannanen and colleagues found that the opioid release, triggered by social laughter, activates the same neurochemical pathways as physical touch. The brain does not fully distinguish between the two. A shared laugh and a warm hand on your shoulder produce overlapping patterns of comfort. This may explain why laughter can feel so physically soothing. Even though it involves no touch at all, your brain interprets the shared joy as a form of closeness and responds with the same chemistry it would use if someone were holding your hand. Imagine the golden hour, when everything looks kind, when the light is warm and forgiving, when even ordinary things seem beautiful. That is what social laughter does to your inner world. It bathes everything in warmth. And tonight, even without touch, even without company. There is warmth here, in these quiet words, in the stillness of this moment. Laughter clubs, where people simply gather to laugh together, often without any jokes, now exist in more than 100 countries. In 1995, a physician named Madan Kataria started the first laughter club in a park in Mumbai, India, with just 5 people. Today, there are thousands of laughter clubs in over 100 countries, gatherings where people come together to laugh intentionally, without humor, without comedy, without any particular reason at all. The premise is simple. The body does not know the difference between real and simulated laughter. The physical and emotional benefits are the same. And when you laugh in a group, even without a reason, the contagion effect takes over, and the laughter quickly becomes genuine. It is like the way stars cluster together in the sky, not because they chose to, but because something drew them close, and in their closeness, they shine a little brighter. Somewhere in the world, right now, someone is laughing for no reason at all, and feeling better because of it. Children laugh roughly 300 times a day. Somewhere along the way, adults forgot most of that lightness. Developmental researchers have estimated that young children laugh an average of 300 times a day, compared to the roughly 17 times measured in adults. The difference is striking, and it raises a gentle question: where did all that laughter go? It was not taken away. It was not lost. It was simply buried, gradually, beneath the weight of responsibility, self-consciousness, and the quiet belief that seriousness is what the world requires. But the capacity remains. 300 laughs a day still live somewhere inside you. Dormant, perhaps, but not gone. Like seeds beneath winter soil, waiting for warmth. And tonight, there is no expectation to laugh, even once. Just the quiet knowledge that your body remembers a time when lightness was its natural state. Laughter evolved as a signal of playful intent, a way to say, this is safe. This is not danger without speaking a word. Play signal theory suggests that laughter originally evolved to prevent misunderstandings during rough and tumble play among early primates. A push, a chase, a tumble. These could easily be misinterpreted as aggression, but laughter said, clearly and unmistakably, this is play. This is safe. I am not trying to hurt you. Over millions of years, this signal became more complex, more nuanced, more deeply embedded in human social life. But at its core, it still carries the same ancient message: I mean you no harm. Like a constellation that has held its pattern since the beginning. Laughter is a fixed point in the ever-changing sky of human expression. It means the same thing now as it did 1,000,000 years ago. Maybe the space behind your eyes can rest now. No need to search for anything. No need to look ahead or behind. Just here. Ancient Greek physicians would send patients to see comedians as part of the healing process. In the traditions of ancient Greek medicine, humor was not considered frivolous. It was considered therapeutic. Physicians, including those who followed in the tradition of Hippocrates, recognized that laughter had a tangible effect on the body. They prescribed visits to theaters and comic performers as part of a holistic approach to health. The idea that laughter could heal was not a metaphor to them. It was observation. Centuries of watching patients improve when joy was part of their care. Like the ancient astronomers who mapped the stars long before they understood the physics, these early healers did not need to know the mechanism. They simply saw that laughter worked, and they trusted what they saw. And perhaps there is a quiet wisdom in that, trusting what your body already knows, even without fully understanding why. When you watch someone else laugh, your mirror neurons quietly fire. Your brain rehearses the joy, even from a distance. Giacomo Rizzolatti's discovery of mirror neurons revealed that the brain does not merely observe actions, it internally simulates them. When you see someone laugh, the neurons responsible for your own laughter begin to fire. Your brain practices the emotion, even if your face remains still. This means that the benefits of laughter extend beyond the person who is laughing. Simply witnessing joy can activate similar neural pathways in the observer, a quiet form of emotional resonance. Like starlight reaching across the darkness, the joy does not need to be yours to warm you. It only needs to be near. And tonight, perhaps you are receiving a little of that warmth, not from laughter, but from the quiet company of these truths, drifting past like distant light. Laughter creates a temporary sense of equality. When everyone is laughing, hierarchies gently fade. Social researchers have observed that during moments of shared laughter, the usual social hierarchies, boss and employee, teacher and student, elder and youth, temporarily dissolve. Laughter levels the playing field. In those few seconds, everyone is simply human. This is why laughter is so powerful in group settings. It reminds people of their shared humanity, a common thread that runs beneath all the roles and responsibilities that normally define relationships, like the way all stars look equal from Earth, regardless of their true size or distance. Laughter makes everyone the same, if only for a moment. And in this moment, you're not defined by any role or responsibility. You are simply here, breathing, resting, at ease. Healing rituals involving communal laughter have been found in indigenous cultures across the world. Anthropologists have documented the use of laughter in healing ceremonies among cultures in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific Islands. In many traditions, laughter is not separate from medicine. It is medicine. It is understood as a force that can restore balance, release negative energy, and reconnect the individual with the community. These are not primitive beliefs. They are sophisticated understandings of the mind-body connection, developed over centuries of careful observation, like the quiet space between stars, filled with forces we cannot see but know are there. These ancient healing traditions recognize something that modern science is only now beginning to confirm: laughter heals. Your hands are simply resting. Perhaps you notice they feel warmer than before. A quiet warmth that came without being cooled. The bonding effect of laughing together is actually stronger than the bond formed by solving problems together. Social psychologists have compared different types of shared activities and their effects on interpersonal bonding. And in study after study, shared laughter outperforms shared problem solving, shared physical activity, and even shared conversation as a bonding mechanism. This may be because laughter activates the opioid system, the brain's deepest reward and bonding circuit. While cognitive activities primarily engage cortical networks, laughter reaches further, deeper, into the emotional core of the brain, like two stars that orbit each other, drawn closer, not by logic, but by a force that is invisible, quiet, and irresistible. Shared laughter creates bonds that thinking alone cannot. And tonight, you are bonded to something quiet and invisible too. The steady rhythm of your own breathing, the gentle weight of your own body, the simple fact of being alive. Laughter can de-escalate tension without a single word. It is one of our oldest tools for peace. Conflict resolution researchers have noted that laughter often appears at critical moments in disagreements. Not to dismiss the conflict, but to signal that the relationship is more valuable than the argument. A well-timed laugh can lower defenses, soften positions, and remind both parties that they are, after all, on the same side. It is not about making light of serious things. It is about making space, creating a pause in which both people can step back from the edge and find their way to softer ground, like a comet trailing quiet light across the darkness. Laughter moves through tension and leaves behind something brighter, something more spacious. And in this spacious quiet, there is no tension to resolve, only stillness, and the gentle invitation to rest. Norman Cousins, facing a life-threatening illness, famously discovered that 10 minutes of genuine laughter gave him 2 hours of pain-free rest. In 1964, the journalist and author Norman Cousins was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, a severe degenerative condition that left him in near constant pain. Conventional treatment offered little relief, so Cousins tried something unconventional. He began watching comedy films and measuring the effect on his pain. He found that 10 minutes of genuine belly laughter provided approximately 2 hours of pain-free sleep. He documented his experience in his book Anatomy of an Illness, published in 1979, which became one of the earliest popular accounts of the mind-body connection. Cousins did not claim that laughter cured his disease, but he demonstrated, with remarkable clarity, that it changed his experience of it. The pain did not disappear, but for those 2 quiet hours after laughing, it simply stepped back, like the moment after a long rain, when the clouds part and the air smells clean. The storm is not forgotten, but the world feels kinder. Every culture on earth laughs. It is one of the very few expressions that is truly, universally human. Cross-cultural psychologists have confirmed that laughter is found in every human society ever studied, regardless of language, geography, religion, or tradition. All humans laugh. It is one of a very small number of behaviors, alongside crying, facial expressions of basic emotions, and certain gestures that appear to be universal. This means that laughter is not a product of culture. It is a product of biology. It was there before language divided us into different groups. It was there before borders, before nations, before the stories we tell about ourselves. Imagine every person who has ever lived, every ancestor, every stranger, every child, and know that they all shared this one thing. They all laughed, and in that laughter, they were all connected. Your feet, those quiet travelers, can rest now. They have nowhere to go tonight. They have carried you to this moment, and this moment is enough. And so the third cluster of truths has gently passed. 25 quiet facts about the ancient bonds that laughter creates. Between bodies, between brains, between strangers and loved ones and ancestors you will never meet. These bonds are older than language, older than civilization, older than memory itself, and they live in you tonight, as real and as present as the breath that moves through your chest. Whenever you are ready, the final journey begins. In hospitals around the world, laughter therapy has been shown to significantly reduce anxiety in patients. A comprehensive review by Chaudhry and colleagues in 2021 examined the effects of laughter therapy across multiple clinical settings. They found that patients who participated in structured laughter sessions experienced meaningful reductions in anxiety scores, reductions that were statistically significant and clinically relevant. The therapy does not require the patient to find anything funny. It does not depend on humor or comedy. It simply invites the body to laugh. And the body, remarkably, responds. The nervous system does not distinguish between laughter born of a joke and laughter born of intention. It simply receives the signal and begins to calm. Imagine snow settling on a sleeping village. Quiet, unhurried, covering everything in a soft, white silence. That is what laughter therapy does to anxiety. It does not argue with it. It simply covers it, gently, until the edges disappear. And tonight, no therapy is needed. Just the quiet weight of your own body, settling deeper into wherever you are resting. Simulated laughter, laughing without any particular reason, has been found to be just as effective as spontaneous laughter. This is perhaps one of the most liberating findings in laughter research. Chaudhry and colleagues documented that simulated laughter, the kind you produce intentionally, without a joke, without humor, without any external trigger, produces the same hormonal and immune responses as genuine, spontaneous laughter. Your body does not check whether the laughter is real. It does not ask for a reason. It simply responds to the physical act, the contracting diaphragm, the vibrating vocal cords, the rhythmic breathing, and begins to release its gentle cascade of healing chemicals. It is like warm sand beneath bare feet. Your body does not ask where the warmth came from. It simply feels it and relaxes. And perhaps there is something deeply comforting in that. You do not need a reason to feel better. Your body already knows the way. Even holding a gentle smile during a stressful moment can lower your heart rate and ease your stress response. Tara Kraft and Sarah Pressman at the University of Kansas conducted a study in 2012 in which participants held chopsticks in their mouths to create either a neutral expression or a smile while performing stressful tasks. Those who smiled, even without knowing they were smiling, showed lower heart rates and reported less stress than those with neutral expressions. The body, it seems, takes its cues from the face. When the muscles of a smile are engaged, the brain receives a signal of safety and responds accordingly, dialing down the stress response. Imagine fog lifting gently to reveal a valley below. The landscape was always there, but now you can see it clearly. That is what a smile does to stress. It does not remove it. It simply lifts the fog. And your face, right now, can be as soft as it wants to be. There is nothing it needs to express tonight. Laughter therapy needs no equipment. no medication, and no special training. It is simply available to you. Chaudhry and colleagues emphasized this point in their review. Laughter therapy is one of the most accessible interventions in all of medicine. It requires no prescription, no technology, no clinical setting. It can be practiced anywhere. In a hospital ward, in a living room, in a park, in a quiet moment before sleep. This accessibility is part of what makes it so remarkable. In a world where health interventions often require money, time, or specialized knowledge, laughter asks for nothing. It is free. It is universal. It is always available. Imagine a blanket that is always within reach, not because someone placed it there, but because it has always been part of you. That is what laughter is. A comfort that was never missing. Perhaps you notice your heartbeat, steady, gentle, asking nothing of you. It has been there all along, faithful and quiet. Hospitals and care homes around the world now gently weave laughter into their programs for healing. From clown doctors in pediatric wards to laughter yoga sessions in rehabilitation centers, healthcare institutions on every continent have begun incorporating humor and laughter into patient care. These programs are not considered alternative or fringe. They are increasingly part of mainstream, evidence-based practice. The premise is, simple healing happens more easily when the body is relaxed, when the mind is at ease, when the spirit has something to hold on to. And laughter provides all three, a bridge between clinical care and the quiet, human need to feel joy, like the first warmth of spring touching the soil. Not dramatic, not sudden, but undeniable. Laughter is finding its way into the places where healing matters most. And you, tonight, are in your own place of healing. This bed, this quiet, this moment, it is enough. The deep relaxation that follows laughter is remarkably similar to the calm achieved through meditation. Herbert Benson, a cardiologist at Harvard Medical School, described what he called the relaxation response, a measurable state of deep physiological calm characterized by lowered heart rate, reduced blood pressure, and decreased cortisol. He found that this state could be achieved through meditation, deep breathing, and repetitive prayer. What researchers have since discovered is that laughter produces a strikingly similar physiological profile. The post-laughter state, muscles relaxed, heart rate lowered, stress hormones reduced, mirrors the relaxation response, almost exactly. Imagine embers glowing in a fireplace. No flame, just warmth. No effort, just presence. That is the state your body enters after laughter. And it is the state your body may already be approaching tonight. You do not need to meditate. You do not need to try. Rest is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. Laughter in the hours before sleep has been shown to quietly improve sleep quality. Sleep researchers have observed that participants who engaged in humor or laughter-based activities in the evening reported better sleep onset, fewer nighttime awakenings, and a greater sense of restfulness upon waking. The mechanism is likely multifactorial: reduced cortisol, increased serotonin, muscular relaxation, and a general shift toward parasympathetic dominance. What this means, in simpler terms, is that laughter prepares your body for sleep. It smooths the transition from wakefulness to rest, like a hand gently turning down a lamp. Imagine dawn light through half-closed curtains, soft, diffused, asking nothing. That is what laughter does to the hours before sleep. It softens everything, quietly, from the inside. And tonight, these quiet truths are doing something similar, not demanding your attention, just drifting through, preparing the way. Mindful smiling, simply holding a soft, gentle smile, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, inviting calm. Mindfulness practitioners have long taught the practice of the inner smile, a gentle, barely perceptible softening of the lips and eyes that signals safety to the nervous system. Research into this practice has shown that even a subtle smile can activate the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest, repair, and recovery. You do not need to smile broadly. You do not need to feel happy. Just the smallest softening of your expression, a whisper of a smile, is enough to send a quiet signal to your brain: we are safe. We can rest. Imagine soft candlelight reflected in still water, barely visible, but unmistakably warm. That is what a mindful smile does to your nervous system. Your belly softens with each breath, like soil after warm rain, soft, receptive, at ease. Laughter yoga combines the intention to laugh with slow, deep breathing, and the body responds as though the laughter were real. Developed by Dr. Madan Kataria in 1995, laughter yoga is a practice that begins with intentional, simulated laughter and combines it with yogic breathing exercises. Participants laugh together, often awkwardly at first, but within minutes, the contagion effect takes over, and the laughter becomes genuine. Studies have shown that laughter yoga produces the same reductions in cortisol, the same increases in endorphins, and the same improvements in mood as spontaneous laughter. The body does not distinguish between the two. It simply responds to the act, like a river that does not care whether the rain that feeds it fell from a storm or from clear sky. The water flows just the same. And your body, right now, does not need any particular reason to feel at ease. It simply needs permission. The vagus nerve, gently stimulated by laughter, is the longest cranial nerve in your body, wandering from brain to gut to heart. The vagus nerve begins at the base of the brain and travels downward through the neck, the chest, the heart, the lungs, the stomach, and the intestines. It is the primary conduit of the parasympathetic nervous system, the system that governs rest, digestion, and recovery. When you laugh, the vibrations in your chest and abdomen gently stimulate this nerve, activating a cascade of calming signals. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens, digestion eases. The body shifts from a state of alert readiness to a state of quiet restoration. Imagine a path that winds through a forest, connecting the mountaintop to the valley below. The vagus nerve is that path, and laughter is the traveler who walks it, carrying peace from one end of your body to the other. And tonight, that path is open. The traveler is already on the way. People who laugh regularly tend to report less depression and greater satisfaction with their lives. Positive psychology researchers have consistently found a correlation between frequent laughter and higher scores on measures of well-being, life satisfaction, and emotional resilience. People who laugh more tend to report feeling more connected, more hopeful, and less burdened by the difficulties of daily life. This does not mean that laughter prevents hardship. It means that it changes how hardship is experienced. It creates a buffer, a gentle cushion between the weight of the world and the soft interior of your emotional life, like a blanket that does not stop the cold, but changes your relationship to it. Laughter does not erase difficulty. It simply makes it more bearable. And tonight, whatever weight you have been carrying, perhaps it can rest beside you for a while. Not gone, but not held. Laughter encourages neuroplasticity, your brain's quiet ability to form new, gentler pathways. Neuroplasticity is the brain's capacity to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. It is the mechanism behind learning, adaptation, and recovery, and research suggests that positive emotional experiences, including laughter, promote this process. When you laugh, the combination of dopamine release, reduced cortisol, and increased blood flow to the brain creates conditions that are favorable for neuroplastic change. Your brain, in those moments, is a little more open, a little more flexible, a little more willing to form new patterns. Imagine warm earth after rain, soft enough for new roots to take hold. That is what your brain becomes after laughter. Not rigid, not fixed, but gently receptive to change. Your jaw releases once more, a small surrender that ripples quietly through your whole body. Each time it softens a little more easily than before. A gentle inner smile, invisible to anyone watching, can still soften your stress hormones. In traditions of Qigong and meditation, the inner smile is a practice of directing a soft, warm attention inward, smiling not with the face, but with the whole body. Research into this practice has shown that even an imagined smile can influence the autonomic nervous system, reducing stress markers and promoting a state of calm. You do not need to move a single muscle. You do not need to make any outward expression. Just the quiet intention of softness, directed inward, is enough. Like embers that glow without flame, the warmth is real, even if no one else can see it. And perhaps, right now, somewhere deep inside you, there is a smile that no one else will ever see. A small, private warmth, yours alone. Humor helps the brain process difficult emotions. It gives the mind a softer way to hold what feels heavy. Emotional regulation research has shown that humor serves as a cognitive reappraisal strategy, a way of reframing difficult experiences so they become more manageable. When the brain encounters something painful or overwhelming, the humor can offer an alternative perspective, not dismissive, but gentler. This is not about making light of suffering. It is about creating space, enough room for the mind to hold the heaviness without being crushed by it. Imagine a pair of hands cupping water. If they grip too tightly, the water spills. But if they hold gently, softly, the water stays. That is what humor does. It teaches the mind to hold life's weight with a lighter touch. And tonight, whatever you are carrying, Perhaps you can hold it a little more gently, not letting go, but not gripping so tight. Simply remembering a moment filled with laughter can reactivate the same soothing neurochemical pathways. Memory researchers have found that recalling a positive emotional experience activates many of the same brain regions and neurochemical responses that were present during the original event. When you remember laughing, really remember it, with the warmth and the sound and the feeling in your body, your brain begins to produce a gentle echo of the original chemistry. This means that the benefits of laughter are not confined to the moment. They are stored in your memory, available to you anytime you choose to return to them. Imagine a melody that plays in your mind long after the music has stopped. The notes are gone, but the feeling remains. That is what a laughter memory does. It carries the warmth forward into this quiet moment. And perhaps, right now, a memory is waiting, not seeking your attention, just resting gently at the edge of your awareness. In case you need it, laughter encourages a state of flow, a feeling of being fully here, without effort, without trying. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who first described the concept of flow, defined it as a state of complete absorption in the present moment. When time seems to slow, self-consciousness fades, and everything feels effortless. Researchers have observed that laughter can serve as a gateway to flow. The physical and emotional release of laughter temporarily quiets the inner critic, reduces self-monitoring, and opens a window of pure presence. Imagine a river that stops trying to find its way and simply flows, not because it has given up, but because the path is already clear. That is what flow feels like. And laughter, sometimes, is the thing that clears the path. Perhaps your shoulders have found their resting place now. Low, soft, at ease. They are not holding anything up. They are simply here. A few quiet breaths after laughter naturally extend the relaxation, as if your body wants to hold on to the calm a little longer. Breathing researchers have noted that in the minutes following laughter, the respiratory pattern often shifts. Breaths become slower, deeper, and more regular. It is as though the body, having experienced the release of laughter, instinctively extends the calm by deepening its breath. This is the body's own intelligence at work. It recognizes that something good has happened, and it adjusts to preserve it, without instruction, without effort, without conscious thought, like the last light of sunset lingering on the horizon, not because anyone asked it to stay, but because beauty, like calm, is slow to leave. And your breath, right now, is doing exactly this. Slow, deep, unhurried, extending the peace that already lives inside you. Inner peace is not the absence of thought, it is the gentle acceptance of whatever quietly arises. Mindfulness teachers across traditions agree on this. Peace does not come from an empty mind. It comes from a mind that has learned to hold its contents with gentleness, to notice thoughts without chasing them, to feel emotions without being swept away. Inner peace is not something you build. It is something you uncover by removing, layer by layer, the belief that you need to control everything, by letting thoughts drift through like clouds, without holding on to any of them. Imagine a quiet lake at dusk. The wind has stopped. The surface is still, but beneath, the water is alive, currents moving, temperatures shifting, fish gliding in the dark. The stillness is not empty. It is full, and it is at peace. And you, tonight, are that lake, full, alive, and perfectly still. Gratitude and laughter light up overlapping regions of the brain, as though joy and thankfulness share a quiet room. Neuroscientists studying gratitude have used functional MRI to map the brain regions activated during feelings of thankfulness. They found significant overlap with the regions activated during laughter, particularly in the medial prefrontal cortex and the ventral striatum, areas associated with reward, social bonding, and emotional regulation. This suggests that gratitude and laughter are neurological neighbors, that the feeling of being thankful and the feeling of being amused arise from the same gentle neighborhood in the brain. Imagine two candles placed side by side in a quiet room. Each one gives its own light, but together, the room glows a little warmer. That is what gratitude and laughter do when they live close together. And tonight, if gratitude finds you, for this moment, for this quiet, for this body that carries you, perhaps you can simply let it be. Your body holds the memory of laughter in its muscles. Comfort can be recalled simply by softening. Somatic researchers have proposed that emotional experiences are encoded not just in the brain, but in the body, in the patterns of tension and relaxation stored in your muscles, your posture, your breath. When you soften a muscle that habitually holds tension, you may release not just the physical tightness, but the emotional memory associated with it. This means that the comfort of laughter is not just in your mind, it is in your shoulders, your jaw, your belly, your hands, and you can access it, not by thinking about it, but by softening into it. Imagine pressing your hand into warm sand and feeling the sand gently hold the shape. Your muscles hold the shape of your experiences the same way. And tonight, as they soften, they release whatever shape they have been holding and return to rest. The space between your temples might feel wider now, open, still, peaceful, a quiet expansion that needs no effort. The silence that follows laughter is one of the deepest forms of rest your nervous system can know. Neuroscientists have observed that the moments immediately following laughter are characterized by a profound quieting of the nervous system, the sympathetic branch, responsible for alertness and action, restorative, the parasympathetic branch, responsible for rest and repair, takes over, and in that silence, the body enters a state of deep, restorative calm. It is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of completion, the kind that follows a beautiful piece of music, or the last light of a sunset, or the final page of a story that has moved you. Imagine the hush that falls over a forest just before dawn. Everything still, everything waiting, everything at peace. That is the silence that follows laughter, and it is one of the quietest places your body can go. And perhaps you are approaching that silence now, not by trying, but by simply arriving. In the minutes after laughing, your heartbeat naturally slows, settling into a rhythm that asks nothing of you. Cardiac researchers have documented that following a bout of laughter, heart rate variability increases and resting heart rate decreases. both indicators of a well-regulated, healthy cardiovascular system. Your heart, freed from the accelerating influence of stress hormones, finds its own gentle rhythm. This is not something you control. It is something your heart does for itself. A return to baseline, a settling, a quiet homecoming, like a boat that has been rocking on gentle waves, finally coming to rest in a calm harbor. Your heart finds its still point and stays. And right now, your heart is beating at exactly the pace it needs. No faster, no slower. A rhythm that has been with you since before you were born and will carry you gently through this night. Your brain does not fully distinguish between real and imagined happiness. Just the thought of laughter begins to help. Neuroimaging studies have revealed that imagining a positive experience activates many of the same brain regions as actually having one. When you think about laughing, when you recall the feeling, the sound, the warmth, your brain produces a muted but measurable version of the same neurochemical response. This means that the benefits of laughter are available to you even in stillness, even in silence, even lying here in the dark. You do not need to laugh. You do not need to smile. You only need to remember or imagine, and your brain will quietly begin its gentle work. Like warmth stored in the walls of an old house. You cannot see it, but you feel it the moment you step inside. The memory of laughter works the same way. It warms you from within. And perhaps, even now, there is a warmth you cannot name. Something quiet, something gentle, something that has been building slowly as these truths have drifted past. Inner peace is something your body already knows. It lives in every exhale, every softening muscle, every quiet moment. We often think of inner peace as something to be achieved, a destination at the end of a long journey of self-improvement, meditation, or spiritual practice. But somatic researchers and mindfulness teachers alike suggest that peace is not something you find, it is something you remember. It lives in the exhale that follows a deep breath, in the moment your shoulders drop after a long day, in the softening of your jaw when you stop clenching, in the warmth of your hands when they finally rest. Peace is not elsewhere. It is here, in the body you already inhabit, in the breath you are already taking, in the stillness you have already found. Your hands are warm and still, holding nothing, needing nothing. They have done their work for today, and now they rest. And tonight, you carry all of this gentle wisdom within you. It asks for nothing except permission to settle. 100 quiet truths have drifted through this space tonight. Some may have stayed with you. Others may have dissolved long ago, like morning mist on a warm day. Either way, your body has been listening to the science of the smile, the chemistry of calm, the ancient bonds of joy, and the quiet power that has always lived within you. You did not need to remember any of it. You did not need to try. These truths were not meant to be studied. They were meant to be felt, like warmth, like light, like the weight of a blanket on a cold night. And so, tonight, you carry something you have always carried, but perhaps, now, you carry it a little more gently. The knowledge that your body already knows the way to peace. That laughter is not something you need to seek. It is something you already are. Like warmth in the walls of an old house. Like the hum of a quiet song you cannot quite place. Like the feeling of coming home to a place you have never left. It was always here. And so were you. And so, perhaps laughter is not something you need to seek. It is something that already lives within you. Like warmth in the walls of an old house. It has always been there, softening the edges of your days, easing the weight you carry without ever being asked. None of these facts need to stay with you. They were only meant to drift through, like light through a window, gentle and unasked for. If you are still awake, that is fine. If sleep has already found you, that is beautiful. Either way, something quiet has settled inside you tonight. Perhaps your whole body is softer now than when we began. Perhaps your breath is slower, your shoulders lower, your jaw unclenched. These are not things you did. They are things your body remembered how to do. Gently, on its own, because that is what bodies do when they feel safe. May your rest be deep tonight. May your dreams carry the warmth of every smile you have ever known, every laugh you have shared, every moment of lightness that your body has stored away for safekeeping. Sleep well, gentle soul. The world will wait for you. There is nothing it needs from you tonight. Good night.